Okay, so let's start from Java keywords, right? Also, the two programs that I've given you, I will basically do it after some time, okay? Or after this whole class, I will do it. Let's just start with this class first, then we'll do it. So Java keywords are basically some reserved words, right? So these are the reserved words, and you cannot use them in naming a variable, basically. Okay, so you cannot be like int, and you cannot be like int class. Class cannot be a variable name because class has some purpose in this whole program. Okay, and keywords are like no, class is not a data type. It's a it's more of a user defined data type, right? Class is itself not a data type, but it is used to make a data type. So if you like create some class which is like animals, so animal is a user defined data type. Class is a keyword that is used to make some user defined data types. Got it? So keywords are particular words that act as a key to a code, right? These are predefined words with Java, so that cannot be used as a variable or object name or class name, which I told you guys, right? That when you create a variable or an object name or a class name, you cannot give a name which has some meaning, right? Like you cannot name a variable with some reserved keywords like this. You cannot name a variable with else or for or if because they serve some purpose. If is a conditional statement. We will study about it today. So if is used to have a conditional statement, basically control statements. So if, else, this we cannot use to name a variable. Okay. So let's just have some look over it. Let's have a look over these keywords. So first there is Boolean. I'm sure you have heard about it. These are just data types. So Boolean is a data type. Byte is a data type, right? Char is a data type. Char is the short form of a character. Double, right, right. So you cannot name a variable double or character or byte, right? That is illegal in Java. You will basically have a compile time error there. So there are some also there are some more reserved keywords like float, int, long, short, break, case, continue, default, do, else, right? And these have some purpose. We'll study about more of these reserved keywords and what they mean. I'm not getting into the meaning because all of these things have some purpose, right? So it will take some time for us to uh, talk about those. So yeah, that was it. So basically, keywords are basically reserved words which you cannot use to name some variables or class names or object name, right? So you cannot name something with the reserved keywords because they serve some purpose. They are used to do something, and you cannot use that name. That will basically confuse Java. Java won't be able to know that, oh, okay, you have named a variable with class. That is illegal. Java will not be able to understand that. So the better way to program is to not use any uh, keyword. Okay, that was it. We'll start from control sentence. So no, actually the keywords what are there here. No, you just have to know about them. So what you know about all of this, right? Yeah, but there are more. Yeah, like break, case, continue, default, do, and all of these things, all of the things we'll study about it later. Okay, so they are basically the part of some big concept, and I'll have to make you understand the concept first, and then the keywords will be used. Okay, yeah. So we'll start with control statements. Okay, so Java compilers execute the code from top to bottom. and it is very important. You have to understand that the Java compilers compiles the whole code from top to bottom. Like the Java compiler will start from the beginning and it will continue until the end. Okay. The statements in the code are executed according to the order in which they appear. However, Java provides statements that can be used to control the flow of code. Such statements are called control flow statements. It is one of the fundamental features of Java which provides a smooth flow of program. We'll try to understand what those are. Okay. So if statement, switch statement, decision making statements, like if statement, switch statement. So how are you familiar with control statements? Have you done if statements? Did you use if statements? Yeah. So any conditional statements. So if you have to check whether a variable is a prime or not, or like even or odd, you have to use if statements, right? Switch statements is another thing. So switch statement is basically when you have like 4 or 5 things, and out of this 4 or 5 things we have to uh, like so for switch, yeah. So like when there are like more number of conditions, and you don't want to like use it with if else statement, you can just have that thing into a switch statement, right? And they are also called decision making statements. So decision making statements has two types. So first is if statements, and then there is switch statements. So after that there are loop statements, that is do while loop. You have heard about it, but you have not done it. So we'll be talking about it. While loop, for loop, and there is a special type of loop that is called for each loop. We'll also try to see it. Okay. There are two jump statements. Tatai was talking about it, right? So there is break statement and continue statement. They are basically used to break. We can use in for loop also. Okay. Continue can be used in switch case also, for loop also. Okay. We'll watch it. We'll watch it. Don't worry. Decision making statement. So what is if statement used for? The Java if statement is used to evaluate a condition. The control of the program is diverted depending upon the specific condition. The condition of the if statement gives a Boolean value, either true or false. It is very important. So when a condition is either a condition is true or false, right? So let me just open. Uh, where is my Java cohort? There. Yeah, let's just try to open it up. ID dot. We'll have to open it with ID only. IntelliJ. Yeah. Is my screen visible? Can you see my screen? Yep, yep. Let's just make a file here. So we'll be making a D3 file. D3 file. Okay. Yeah, cancel. Let's just make it PSVM public static void main, and we'll write the program here. Okay. So basic. There are 4 types of if else statements. So you can like create if else in 4 types of way. So normal if statement, if you are writing only one if statement, that is in the simple if statement. Okay. Other than that, you can also write if else statement, right? Other than that, you can also write if else if ladder statement. Other than that, you can also write nested if statement. Okay. So let's just try to understand what are those things. So like Hello. Yeah, what happened? I think Devanjan joined with another, like the computer of my home. So he got connected to. Hmm. Hello. 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 Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, Devanjan was trying to join in with the computer that I. So the same account was logged in into my other computer. So he joined with that. So I was just logged out when he joined. Okay, so we're starting with if statement, right? He'll do it with another, like he'll log out from that. Yeah, yeah, he'll join with. Let me admit it. Let's see. Yeah, is there? Okay. So can you see me? Can you see my screen? Yeah. So basic if else we are studying, right? So let's just write a program to understand this. So let's say you are given the question that you have to find the greatest element, right? You have to find greatest element among three numbers. Or let's just do greatest uh, number out of two numbers. Okay, so you have like int a equals to 5, int b equals to 8, and you have to check whether like which one is greater, either a or either b, right? So obviously you'll use if statement there. So normal if statement a, if a is greater than b, let's just have another variable. So it will be like greater, and we'll specify it with 0. Okay. So let's just see like uh, so if a greater than b, will be like okay, store a, right? That is the normal program. Okay. So now uh, we have the greater thing. Now we'll just print it, and we'll obviously you know what it will print, right? Which number is greater, it will print. So whenever I'll compile the code. So basically, what is happening is we are just trying to see whether a greater than b, a is greater than b, and in this case, it is a is not greater than b. A is not greater than B, right? So what we are trying to do is like check both the elements, both the number, and try to figure out whether A is greater than B or B is greater than A. So how can we also check that whether B is greater than A? How can we write that? Try to we use else statement. So if we write else statement, what is the condition here? Like try to tell me the condition here. If A is not great, yeah, like what is their opposite one? Try to tell me that. A is less than equals to B, isn't it? Isn't it? Or B is greater than A. B is greater than equal to A. Or B is greater than equals to A. Isn't it? Isn't it? So you have to like also remember that equals to is also there. There can be a position where both the numbers are same, right? So if you just like we can also write here like we can also be like okay, if B is greater than A, then store B. Can we write here? Like is this okay? Is this okay? Like what is wrong in here? Is it okay? Not not really. Try to think what is wrong in it. First of all, say that whether it will work fine or not. If both the values are not same, that then it will not execute, right? Okay, that I said something. Okay, let's just hear it from Audrich. What about Audrich? Yeah, try again. Hello, Audrich. I cannot hear you, Audrich. Yeah, which statement? Oh, tell me the line number. Can you see the line number? Yeah, like second one, like this statement, right? No, I'm just asking either this statement is like feasible for the thing we are doing, like greatest number out of two numbers, right? And we are trying to find out which one is greater. Either A will be greater or B will be greater. The code I have written, is it like true? Is it like okay with the logic or I'm missing something? Tata said that there. Tata said that if the both the numbers are like same, then it won't work, right? If both the numbers are same, then it won't work. What do you want to say? Yeah, okay, but that is not what I'm talking about, right? I'm talking about either this statement what I've written is like okay or not. For this statement, whether it will work or not. What will the answer be? Like for this values, right? Yeah, you have to write it else. I got it. But I'm talking about if we have like two if statements, right? Like for this code, what do you think the greatest value would be? Like if we're trying to print greater, what the value will be? Try to guess. Wait for a minute. Can you hear me? I'm back, guys. Yeah. So as I was saying, so like for this particular thing, right? So for this particular code, what will be the output? If I print greater, what will be the output? Try to guess. Just have a random guess. Tatai, guess first. What will be the answer? What will be the answer? How can it be B? I am printing greater. What will be the output? Tell me the output first. Hello, hello. Yeah. Can you hear me now? Yeah, I'm telling you that for this code, try to guess the output. I'm printing the greater thing, right? Here is the greater, and this is the code. And try to like guess the output. If I'll print greater and if I'll try to run this code, what will be the output here? Who said that? Adrish, Devanchal. Yeah, Devanchal said 8. Okay. Other than that, Tatai and Nai, this is the output of the previous code that I've written. Don't just think about it. Okay, output will be 8. Other Adrij, what about Adrij? Adrij, if you aren't able to talk, you can just also write in the chat section so that I can understand that you are here listening to me. Write it first. 8, right? Yeah. So you are right about it. Like if we run it, yeah, it will be 8, right? Because first first it will check whether A greater than B. That is that if it will be, then it will be stored into the A. Other than that, it will also check here if B greater than A, then if it is, then it will store in the B. But try to think about it. What is if it is working, right? If it is working, and let's just also do this. Like if both the things are same, what will be the output? If 0, it will be 0. Okay. Tatai said that 0. Other than that, any of you try to guess what will be, it will never go into the condition, but there will be some output or not. Yeah. So what will be the like? Tell me, tell Audrich first. What do you think, Audrich? No, it will run obviously because there isn't any error, right? If I write something, if I write something here, and if it is some error, then it will be in red. Okay. So there isn't any error here, as you can see. So it will run, but yeah. Tata said 0, right? 0. Okay. And Devanjan, what do you think? Okay, it will be 0. Let's just see. It is 0. Very good. So how can we make it like it is obviously wrong, right? It is not 0. So A and B is 5, and the greatest element in that particular in the both the variables is 5, right? So how can we make sure that okay, if both the elements are true, if both the elements are same, then that element only will be stored in greater. How can we make sure that? Not really. We can like try here. also. That is a good idea. We can also do that. It can be like greater equals to B or A. That doesn't matter, right? Because both of them are same. Okay. So now it will work, right? It is working. But don't you think it is a too much work? Like it is a lot of work. Yeah, yeah, it is not like that. I'll try to make you understand this fact. Okay. So we'll just comment it out and try it in a better way. Okay. So you can totally be like, okay, if A greater than B, okay, wait, then just store it into greater equals to A, else greater equals to B. Will this work? What do you think, guys? Yeah, it will work, right? Let's just see. And it is working, right? We can change it. It can be like 1000, and it will still work. 1000 is the greater one. It is working fine. But the only difference between multiple ifs, which we have written here, like the only difference between this and this is the execution, is the is a way of execution, right? So I'll make you understand what I'll tell. I will. I will. No, shut up. I'll tell you. I'll try to. I'll try to explain it. Okay. So if A greater than B, if this statement is true, okay, then only greater equals to A, right? Right? Am I right about it? If this condition is true, greater it will be equals to A. But what about this? This is the same thing. If A greater than B, greater will be equals to A. Am I right about it? If this statement is true, we know for sure that this statement is also false and this statement is also false. Are we sure about it? Try to understand what I'm trying to teach you. So if A greater than B is like true, then the other two statements are false. Am I clear? Am I am I right about it? Who said no? What is one part? What do what do you mean by one part? I'll ask you again. If A greater than B is true, then the other two statements are false, isn't it? Like A, what is the value of A? A is, let's say A is like 1000, okay, and this is 5. Now, if A greater than B is true, then the other two statements are false, isn't it? Like B greater than A, B 5 greater than A, it's obviously false. B equals to A, is obviously false. So if one statement is true, if this statement is true, then other two statements are false, isn't it? But if we are doing it like this, right, this is not wrong. This is obviously, this is like, if you did this, the teacher will be able to give you some marks because they will be like, okay, the student is like have written the code, but this is not the optimal solution. Like this is not a good solution. Why? Why is it? Because if A greater than B is true, you are also checking, like after it is true, you are also checking this. Like for every time, if A greater than B is true, for example, for this case, right? For this case, A greater than B is true. But even after this, you are again checking it, again checking from this line, like if b greater than a, if b equals to a, you are also checking this line, which is not needed. Why do you have to check this if we have already get this statement as true? Like if we know that a greater than b is true, why do you have to check for b greater than a? Why do you have to check for b equals to a? Does this make sense? Please respond. Does this make sense? Or should I explain it again? Hello? Yeah. Does this make sense? Yeah. What happened? Yeah, let me tell it again. If a greater than b is true, like obviously this is true, right? 1000 is obviously, like 1000 is obviously greater than 5, isn't it? This is true. Yeah. So if this is true, you are also checking for this statement. Like you have already got this statement as true. Like in this case, this will be like true, right? This statement will be true. This statement will return true here, and this will get executed, right? Now greater will store the element. You have already got the greater element. You know that, you know for sure that okay, a is the greater one. Now why do you have to check for if b equals b greater than a, b equals to a, right? This is just extra work, right? Why do you have to check for this too? I'm not talking about like if we need this. Obviously, we need this. For example, if A is not greater than B, if this statement is false, then we have to check for this statement. Then we have to check for this statement. We need these three statements, obviously. Okay, these three statements are needed. But if we have gotten this thing as true, like if this if statement is true, then we don't have to check for these statements. Like they are important for the code, but we don't need to check. If we know that A is greater than B, then obviously just try to ignore this part. Okay. If this is not true, then check for this. Then check for this. Okay. But if we know that this is true, then we don't have to check for this statement. Did you understand, guys, what I'm trying to say? Yeah, yeah. So, so basically here there is a lot of work for the compiler. Compiler first says, like, compiler first sees, okay, A is greater than B, and he's like, okay, it is true, so greater will be A. He's again, like, he's too dumb. He doesn't understand that if A greater than B is true, he doesn't have to change, even like, check for this. Okay, so he's dumb. So he's just checking this again. So he's like, if B greater than A, this is false. Okay. If B equals to A, this is false. Okay, we'll just print the greater. So he's just checking this, but we are sure that this won't work because both of the time it will be false. Okay, but the compiler does not know anything. So he's like checking everything. Okay, but this is not the scene when we use else statement. Else statement will only execute when the first statement is false. What I mean by it is, for example, if A greater than B is true, then else part will not run, right? You can check it. You can check it. Okay. How can we check it? We'll just print it. We can B is greater than A. Devanjan is right about it, but let me explain you again so that you can understand. So we can be like, we don't need this part. So we can delete this part and we can be like A is greater than uh yeah, that is true. So let's just see whether it is running fine. And A is greater than B, right? Okay. And the 0 is printing because we have just have not commented this. We have commented this, and now let us check whether it is. So A is greater than B. And this is not printing, right? Tatai, this is not printing, right? This is not printing because this is not executing. For this part also, if you try to print something here, they won't print. Okay, so like for this statement, okay, so for this statement, if we try to comment it out, and like first if, okay, and here we can write second if, right, and we can write uh, third if, right, and let's try to run and see only the first if is getting printed. But I have already told you about it, that okay, compiler will check every if here. The compiler will check every if here, but 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 it is not printed. Why it is not printed? Because the compiler is checking the condition, not this particular code inside the statements, right? This code will only get executed if this condition is true. But in this case, the condition is not true, right? But the compiler is checking this statement. The compiler is checking this statement. If it is false, it will not execute this part. Okay. But in here, if this statement is true, the compiler will also ignore this part. He doesn't care if you have anything with it or not. But in this case, in this particular case, the compiler will start from here and it will check A greater than B, and it will be like true. Creator will store A and it will print first if. Then again it will check here. And if B greater than equals to A, it will check this condition. As it is false, it will not go into this statement, but it will check this part. But for this statement here, if and else statement, if this part is true, then he will just ignore this part. He won't check any condition after that. If you write if, which we will see in a minute, if you write all of those things in here, like let's just edit it out. We can be like else if b greater than a, okay, and also if it is not the case, then obviously we know that if a greater than b is false, b greater than a is false, then obviously at the last statement they will both be equal, right? A and b is equal. Okay, so try to understand, if a greater than b is true, the compiler will ignore all of this part. The compiler won't check this part only. Got it? Did you get this? The compiler will not check this part only. The compiler doesn't care if this is true, if this part is true. He will not check only. But in here, doesn't matter if this one is true or false, if this one is true or false, if this one is true or false. It doesn't matter. The compiler will check every time. But in this case, the compiler will only go to this else if statement if this part is false. Got it? If this part is false, then it will check for this statement. If this part is also false, then it will check for this part, this else statement. Okay, so if this part is false, it will go to this part. And if this part is also false, then it will go to this part and print. Got it, everyone? Everyone got it? Yes. So this is basically if and else. The if else statement, then the if else if and else statement, and also there are multiple if statements. Try to use it. I will give some program where you have to use it. I'll give some assignment today where you will be able to where you will be using if and else statement to understand whether where to use which one, like where to use multiple if statement, where to use only one only one if and else statement. Okay. Yeah. So let's just move. Uh, so you understood if else statement. We'll jump over switch statement. Okay. So the switch statement, this is just too much too much information. We don't need all of this thing. You'll just understand how the code is working. Okay. So basically, the switch statement is used to is a it is a control statement. So you will be passing a value here, and according to this expression, right? According to this value here, the cases will be evaluated. Right. There is some break statement that is there. I hope everyone knows about this switch case statement. If you know about switch case statement, I will just skip this because this is not so important. Yeah, this is not that important. Okay, the maximum every time you will be using if else statement. We don't generally use switch case, but I will give you some programs where you will be using switch case. So refer to this particular website. You can come here and try to understand. Let's just try to understand this program. We'll be able to understand what is switch case. So let's just say there is number 20, right? And you can also take some input from the user also. But let's say we have hard coded this and this is 20. And if we do switch 20, which number will be printed? Which will be the case that will be executed? The second one, right? So this case, so 20 will come here, and this switch will tell these cases that okay, 20 has come, so that then the case number 20 will get printed, and it will break. It will break from here. If we don't give break here, if we don't give anything here, then case after case 20, case 30 will also print. And any case after that, it will all print all the numbers. It will print all the numbers from 20, 30, 40, 50 if there are more cases. Do you get that? Do you get what I'm saying? If there is no break, then it will continue. It will like continue each and every time, and it will print all the numbers after 20. So break is important in like a break is very important in switch case. You have to give break. Otherwise, it will print all the numbers after that particular point. So in this case, the output is 20. But if you don't give break here, it will be like 20 and 30. Got it? So see there are like there is a good program that they have written. So you can there can be user, so you can create this like this. So, case 1 January, case 2 February, case 3 March, and it is until December. And this default is basically to specify that any numbers other than 1 to 12, any numbers other than 1 to 12, if you give any numbers or any variable that is not 1 to 12, then whatever that will print is invalid one. Okay. So this is how you write. So you can write default and then whatever the code is. Got it? Yeah. Not default is only used in switch case, and default is also a keyword. Okay. Whatever we do, whatever we have, whatever there is some word or there is some specific word which is used in some case. That will be a keyword. Okay. Okay. So let's go to Java loop, Java for loop. Okay. So first for, then there is initialization, then there is condition, there is increment or decrement. Okay. I'm sure that you already know this. How many of you know it? How many of you know this? Yes. For loop is very easy. It isn't. It isn't that hard. Okay. What happened? Someone raised their hand. Okay. But there is this important execution thing. So try to understand. Okay. Int I equals to 1, I less than equals to 10, I plus plus. What will be the output? Okay. Adrich, Adrich. Okay. So easy it is, right? You know about the follow. But this initialization, how many times the initialization happens? 9 times. Okay. The Urunabo, what about it? How many times? Okay. So, oh, okay. Okay. What about Adrich? Okay. So you guys are wrong about it. Okay. Let me tell you why. So the initialization happens here only once. Okay. So this is just declaration plus initialization. So at first, when you write some code here in the, let's say just in Java, you are writing some code here like int I equals to 1. Okay. Whatever you have written, whatever the code is written in here, I'll write. So it is int I equals to 1, right? And you are just doing it for once. You cannot do it again. If you try to do it again, you will get some error. Okay, let's just try to run it. Variable I is already defined in method gen. So you have just tell me, all of the three people has already told me that okay, 9 times initialization happens. You cannot define a variable 9 times. The variable cannot be initialized 9 times. The initialization and declaration can only be done once. Yeah, initialization can happen multiple times, but the declaration cannot be happening 9 times. The declaration is 1 time, and the initialization in this particular case is also 1 time. But what you are doing here is like incrementing this part, like you are doing I plus plus. And what is I plus plus? I plus plus is nothing but I equals to I plus 1. And now this thing is stored again into this part. Okay. So there is a difference between declaration and initialization. When you have told me that initialization, we are doing it 9 times initialization. I I guess you meant what you said. Got it? Everyone got it? Yeah. It changed. It increments. Yeah. Let me just tell it to everyone so that everyone can understand, because Audrey was not there when I explained that thing. So at first, the first step for the for loop, the initialization will happen. Okay. So int I equals to 1 will happen. I will be stored. So 1 will be stored into I, and I will be of int type. Got it? Then it will check this part, that whether I less than equals to 10 is true or false. This is a condition. You can see here. So first there is initialization, that is int I equals to 1, right? Then there is condition. What is condition? So either it will be true, or either it will be false, right? So I less than 10. Is it true first for value 1? Is it true? Agreed, agreed? Is it true? Yeah, it is true. So after that, it won't check this part. This is increment and decrement, right? This is increment or decrement. This will not be done as soon as after this is true. If it is true, it will go into this part. If it is true, if it will go into this part, right? Actually, it does check this part. What happens is I plus plus is basically this I plus plus is basically first uh, first you have this value here. So I plus plus, so there is pre-increment and post-increment. Do you know about it? Do you know about it? Do you know about the pre and post increment? So what post increment does is like it will first give the value here. So I will be 1 here, but after I is there, like I is 1 here, after I will be 2. Yeah. So first I will be 1, then after some time it will be 2. Okay. So after it is used once, it will be 2. Got it? So for this for loop, for this whole for loop, the value of I will be 1. And again, it will increment. It will be 2. And it will check whether this is true or not. This condition is true or not. If it is true, then it will go into this loop, do it, do its job, do what is written in the for loop, and then again it will check for 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7, then 8, then 9, then 10, because it is less than equals to. Then when it will be 11, it will also check here that whether 11 less than equals to 10 or not. And then if it sees that it is false, then it will just break from here and the program will end. So therefore, all of the 10 numbers are printed. I think everyone is clear. This is not so difficult to understand. Yes, we'll just go with for each loop. This is something new. This is something new. Okay. So what is for each loop? This is a this is a new type of way to uh, go through array. Okay. So we have not started array, but yeah. So just remember that there is some for each loop. Okay. This is some higher concept. Yeah, this is a higher concept. Let's just start with while loop. I will obviously tell you about for each loop, okay, when we'll be doing arrays and stuff. Let's just skip it for now. Let's just do Java while loop. Okay, you don't know about Java while loop, right? Let's just start Java while loop. Okay, let's just start Java while loop. So first of all, let's just delete this part. And this whole part, we don't need this. I'll just comment it out. I will obviously give this in my GitHub, okay? Don't worry. You will be getting all the code there. Okay, so let's just have a for loop which prints from 1 to 10. Uh, repeat. So just tell me the logic of it for the for loop thing. Someone told me. Tell me, how can we print from 1 to 10? Tell me the for loop condition. What I have to write to print from 1 to 10. Everyone, first, hello. 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 Just internet issues. Okay, I'm back. Okay. So tell me the logic of how to print from 1 to 10 for the for loop. Yeah, initialization. Yes. And how can we print it from 1 to 10? What is the condition here? Tell me the condition. I less than equals to 10. Yeah. And I will be plus plus or minus minus. Yeah. No, I said it will be in for loop. I said what will be the for loop for this for printing 1 to 10, right? So this will work, right? You know this thing. You all know about for loop. So it is printing from 1 to 10. If you don't believe me, let's just check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is working, right? What about while loop? While loop is the same. While loop is the same thing, just the syntax is different. The way to write the thing is different. How can we write? So first we have to write while, and then there is some condition, and then there is increment and decrement. First there is while, then there is some condition, there is some increment or decrement. Now try to write it in while loop. How can you write it? First there is while. What is the condition? What is the condition here? What is the condition here? Fast, everyone. I less than equals to 10. Let's just write I less than equals to 10. Okay. But oh my god, we don't have I here. We have not initialized it. Okay, so we have to initialize the variable, right? So let's just initialize it like I equals to 1. Completed initialization. Now there is like increment and decrement. What is the increment and decrement? This is I plus plus. Okay, let's just I plus plus. And also you have to print every time, right? So before incrementing, we can just print. Yeah, we can just print it here. Let's just check whether it is working or not, but let's just comment it out because or else it will run 2 times. Done. They're the same thing. They're the same thing. So the syntax of while loop is very easy. It is more easier than for loop. For loop is a little tough than while loop. Okay, because you don't know what is happening when. But this is just straightforward. First there is initialization. Just as for loop, first there is initialization. Initialization. Then there is condition. Condition. Then there is some code to execute. Execute. Any code that you can use. And then there is lastly increment or decrement, whatever you like. And that is how you do while loop. Have you got this? This is very easy. This is very easy. Now, sometimes you use for loop, sometimes you use while loop. It depends on you where to use what and where to use what. Where do you use something? Where do you use while loop? Where do you use for loop? That is totally dependent on the problem and you. Okay. I think this is clear to everyone what is while loop. If not, please ask me some questions. Okay, very good. It is the same like for loop. Conditional statements are all the same. The initialization is outside. That is right. No, if we don't if we don't specify this increment or decrement, it will start. It will be stuck in the. It will be stuck in there. Let's just check. Let's just check what is happening. See, we don't give it. So if we don't mention it here, let's just see what happens. Damn, it is. It is like every time printing one. It is stuck. Can you see? It is infinitely printing one because it is printing one and then again checking, then again checking, then again checking, again checking, again checking, again checking. It is just checking and printing again because there is no end statement here. I less than equals to 10, but I won't be able to go near 10 because you have not done anything. Right? We'll just stop it because otherwise my computer will burst. Okay, so we'll write it I plus plus, right? And while loop is easy, no problem in while loop. You got it, right? Also, it will be same it will be same for this also. If you don't mention I plus plus, then this will also go into some loop. Okay, it will infinitely print I plus plus. Like I one. It will infinitely print one. Okay, so the last thing that we'll study is Java do while loop. What is Java do while loop? And why is do there? We understand while loop, but what is do? What is doing there? So the syntax is very easy. First there is do, and then we open the bracket, and then there is while and condition. In there, we were just having while and then condition, and just starting from there. But in do while, the condition is like do while. So the condition in do while is like first do, then open brackets, have some statements in here. Okay, so it is so like statements. Okay, and here we'll be having while condition. So let's just say like I less than equals to 10. Okay, let's just initialize also because we have to for try to remember this, like try to like log up this that in for loop we initialize inside the for loop, and in do and while loop we initialize outside the for loop, outside the loop. Okay, so this is initialization. Sorry, so this is condition. Okay, so what is the difference between do while loop and while loop? Why they made this? Yeah, yep. So the only difference between this is like, uh, for example, in while loop, in here, what is happening in here is first int I equals to 1, right? I is initialized with 1, and then we are checking while I less than equals to 10, we are doing something. So at first, this while will check whether this particular I less than 10 is true or false. If it is false, then it won't work. It will print nothing. So if we are like I equals to 0, if we are like I equals to 0, and I not I here, if we write that I greater than 0, okay, if we write I greater than 0 here, like if we just write 0, and if we write I greater than 0, I greater than 0 here, what do you think? It will it work? Will it work or not? What about others? It won't work, right? Because the condition, yeah, it is false, right? The condition is false. So the while loop will say, okay, it is false, so get out of it, get out of the loop. Yeah, if it is greater than equals to, then it will work, right? Because I is 0, 0 greater than equals to 0. Yes, 0 is equals to 0. That is the same only. Greater than equals to is means what? From it can start from 0 and go to infinity, right? The condition means it will start from 0 and it will go to infinity. Okay, that you have understood. Sorry, I less than equals to 10 and I is equal to 1. Okay, but let's say we try to do it here also. So if I equals to 0 and I greater than 0, and if we print I, what will be the output? What do you think? Uh, okay, so we have to just increment also, right? So this is statement and increment, increment and decrement. Sorry, increment or decrement. Either increment or either decrement. So let's just increment it. I plus plus. Okay, so what will be the output? Okay, the one said it will start from 0 and it will go to infinity. What about Tata? What about Odrich? Uh, yeah, try to think. Try try to think, Odrich. It is increasing, right? And there is some condition also. Try to check the condition. There is a condition attached to the do while loop. So do and while loop. So do I greater than 0. So let's just try to think what is happening here. So int I equals to 0, right? Int I is 0 first. So it will start executing this statement. So do it will enter the loop. Okay. System dot out print I. So it will print 0. Then it will increment. So I is now 1. And it so after it is 1, it will check then whether I is greater than 0. And it will be true, right? Because I is 1. I is 1 because it is yeah, 1 is greater than 0. It will again go to this do statement. It will print 1 and then again increase. And it will continue until infinity. Got it? It will be an infinite loop. So if I try to yeah, see how fast it is going. Okay. Oh my god, it is not stopping. Yeah. So this is not a good way to write program, or people will kill you. Okay. So I guess everyone understood this. So the difference between while loop and do while loop is basically the while loop check first the condition. The condition is checked first in the while loop, and the do while loop will start first and then check whether the condition is true or false. The difference is simple. For the while loop, it will check first whether the condition is yeah, yep. Okay. I will give some programs on do while loop. We will just try to understand, try to do it. Yeah, yeah. You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. So do while loop is basically used when the user wants the first execution to be done. Like they don't have to check the statement first, like the condition first. You do some work and then check whether it is true or false, and then continue or break from the loop. Got it? That is the difference between while loop and do while loop. And I will give you some programs and you will be using do while loop and while loop to run the program. Okay. You will have to basically figure out whether you will be needing while loop or do while loop. Okay. Let's just go to this part. So Java break and continue. What is Java break and continue? Okay, they have just given some array example, but we haven't done array. Okay, so Java break and continue, I will talk about it. Let's just first uh, have some comment example. So there are three types of comments. First one is single line, multi-line documentation. Comments are basically some codes that are ignored by the compiler. So the compiler will not execute that line. Got it? So the compiler will just ignore that part. It is, yes, it is for the programmer's understanding. Okay, so you guys can always see I'm always commenting some code that is not needed, or I'm commenting something in the code like in the previous code that I've just written. I have commented here initialization, decrement, increment, decrement, statement. That will help you to understand whether like what is happening in the code, right? Yes, they are just ignored by the compiler. Okay, so the compiler will not execute this line. The compiler doesn't care what you written in the program. Got it? And single line comments are like comments which are spanned through the single such which is spanned through a line. And if you write something in the next line, it won't get commented. In Java multi-line, until you start and end this comment, and until you start with backslash star and end with star backslash, all of the things in between will be commented. And Java documentation comment is like 2 times. It is like more better than multi-line. Okay, but most of the time you will use Java single and Java multi-line comment. Okay, so yeah, I'll talk about break and continue. So before that, I'll give you some break. Okay, let's just have 5 minutes of break. I'll give you some timer. Talk whatever you want. I will just leave the class and join again after 5 minutes. Okay, or just I'll just mute. All right, I'll give some time. Let's just have 5 minutes of time break. Do whatever you want. Talk about something, uh, or just talk about some programming. Break. No, you can talk. Yep, yep. Okay, I'll start this. All right, I'll come after 5 minutes. Hello. Where is Adrish? Why did he left? Why did he leave? Okay. Okay. We'll just continue. Okay. So, so let's just start with break. Okay. Uh, so, um, what is the use of break statement? So let's just read about it. The break statement is Java is a powerful tool for controlling the flow of a program. It is used to exit a loop or switch statement prematurely. Prematurely means before it is, if before all of the statements are executed. Okay, so it allows us to customize the behavior of code based on specific conditions. When a break statement is encountered inside a loop, the loop is immediately terminated and the program control resumes to the next statement following the loop. Right? The Java break statement is used to break loop or switch statement. Use of break statement. Okay. So let's just have a code. So let's just have this code. So for using for loop, whenever we'll have 5, it will just break. Okay. So first it is checking. It will check from 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and it will check every time. Is it 1? No. It will print. Again, is it 2? It will check. Is it 3? It will check and print. Is it 4? It will check and print. It is 5. Yes, it is 5. Then it will break. If you if you just write break here, the outer loop will break. This is the uh, first second bracket, right? It will go out of the scope here and then break. Like here it will go and then it will break. So it will print 1, 2, and 3 and 4. At the fifth time, it will break from the for loop. Got it? This is the use of break statement. I think you know this thing, right? Yeah. Other than that, we have continuous statement. Let's just have continuous statement. What is the use of continue? So it will skip that part. Okay, continue is basically used to skip the part. So what is continue? So first of all, int I equals to 1. Is it 1? No. Print. Is it 2? No. Print. Is it 3? Print. 4? No. Print. Is it 5? Yes, it is 5. Then continue. So as soon as you say continue, it will not execute the next lines. Like after this part, it will not execute this line. Okay, so after so the 5 will get skipped. So as soon as it will check and it will just check, oh okay, it is 5. So it will continue. What is continue? Continue says that you don't have to execute any statements after this. So after this, what is this? What is there? There is system.out.print. So except 5, everything will get printed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there is no 5 here. Okay, so continue says, yeah, break will exit the loop, and continue says exit that particular number. Exit like break will say that exit the loop, don't come in the loop only, and continue says that in the particular statement, uh, in the particular number, just keep the number. So you have just said that I equals to 5. So when there will be when the I will be 5, their system.out.print will not work. So it will skip the part. So for continue is basically used to skip a particular iteration, and break is used to exit the iteration. So exit the whole for loop. Stop there, right there. Yeah, I think it is clear. It is not so difficult to understand. Yep. Yes. What happened? So stay until 5 and then you leave. Yeah, till 5 you come there. Okay. So I'll be taking the class till 5:30. Okay. The rest of the 30 minutes you can watch it later. All right. Just Java object in class. Okay. I think Godrej will be there, right? Okay. Whatever. So let's just start Java object in class. So this is from where things get a little difficult. Okay. So this is not going to be easy. So I want you guys to be a little bit more focused. Okay. Until now, the concepts that I've just told you, that was pretty basic, was very straightforward. It wasn't very like difficult, but things will get a little bit difficult, and you have to write some code here. Without writing code, you won't be able to understand. Okay. First of all, let's just read about it. What is OOPS? What is this OOPS thing? OOPS stands for Object Oriented Programming. In a paradigm that provides concepts such as inheritance, data binding, polymorphism, etc. Let's just search it. What is paradigm? Basic thing is a pattern of something. A typical example or pattern of something. It's an example. Okay. Type of something. So OOPS is basically a type that provides concepts such as inheritance, data binding, polymorphism, etc. Okay. Just you can say is that alternative. Simula is considered the first object-oriented programming language. Okay, Simula was the first object-oriented programming language. The programming paradigm where everything is represented as an object is known as a pure object-oriented programming language. Smalltalk is considered the first truly object-oriented programming language. Right? The popular object-oriented programming languages are Java, C Sharp, PHP, Python, C++, etc. But do remember, Java is not truly object-oriented programming language. Java is object-oriented programming language, not truly. Why not truly? Is something we'll study about. Okay, later we'll study about it. Object means a real-world entity such as a pen, chair, table, computer, watch, etc. Object-oriented programming is a methodology or paradigm for designing a program using classes and objects. It simplifies software development and maintenance by providing some concepts. These are all the things that we'll be studying about. Okay, you have heard about object and class, but inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, encapsulation, we'll all be writing programs on. Okay, apart from this concept, there are some other terms also which are used in object-oriented design. That is coupling, cohesion, association, aggregation, composition. We'll also study about it. We'll study about all of the things. What is an object? Any entity that has state and behavior is known as object. Is known as an object. For example, a chair, a pen, table, keyboard, bike, etc. It can be physical or logical. An object can be defined as an instance of a class. So instance is basically instance is just a part. Okay, so if we say that that an object is an instance of a class, it basically means object is a part of a class. Okay, an object can be defined as an instance of a class. It contains an address and takes up some space in memory. I've already told about the address thing. Any particular thing which has some storage, which has some basic variable structure, it is stored in some memory, and memory has some address in. I've told you about it. That bad looking thing, AX0000. Objects can communicate without knowing the details of each other's data or code. The only necessary thing is the type of message accepted and the type of response returned by the objects. We'll study about it. To read more object in Java. Okay. A dog is an object because it has states like color, name, breed, etc. So in the previous class, I guess I have already talked about, in the first class, I guess I have talked about some animal class where we have just figured out how many eyes that particular dog has, or the particular animal has, and some other features, right? Tata was there in this class, in that class. Yeah, in the previous class, right? Day two. Yeah. So state, it is embodied in an object's properties. Additionally, it reflects an object's attributes. Okay. Embodied मतलब হচ্ছে like uh, what do you say that embodied is basically like mixed. Okay, it is mixed with an object's properties. An object's methods are a representation of it. Additionally, it represents how an object reacts to other objects. Identity. This is not that important. Okay. So first of all, you have to understand about that instance variables that I've already talked about in the second class, and also some methods. So methods are basically group of statements that carry out a certain operation and give an outcome. This is very important. So what is method? A method is a group of statements that carry out a certain operation. Okay, like addition. Addition is basically a group of statements that are given into a particular method, and that method will carry out addition of two numbers or three numbers, whatever you write on that in that particular method. The method can complete a certain task without giving back any result. Method are regarded as time savers since they enable us to reuse without having to type it again. So let's say you have a particular code into your program that is to add three numbers, and you have like four, five, like you have like three sets of variables. Like you have three variables at first, then you have three variables again, and then you have three variables again. So you don't have to write for every three variables. You don't have to write the same statement again and again. That will be a very long process, right? Method will help you. You can put that particular code into any method and call the method for any three variables, and it will work. For example, let's say Let's just give you an example. Let's say we have three variables, or else let's just make a method here. Okay, so like public, we'll talk about in very detailed way in further videos, but the public void add add three nums. This is a method name, and it will have three variables int c, and what we have to do is like add three variables. So it'll just be like system.out.print a plus b plus c, right? No, we don't have to create an object. You can just be like static. It is void. We'll talk about it in later videos. Don't worry. I'm just trying to understand. I'm just trying to make you understand that we don't have to write the same code again and again. 328. Okay, this is the first three values. For the second three values, we have 7, 93, and 90. For again, let's just have 100 and 84 and 1000. Okay, so let's just run it. See, we have added three numbers without writing this particular logic three times. We can also be like, okay, take three numbers and add it. Take three numbers, add it. Take three numbers, add it. We can write this simple code three times, but it is not feasible, right? It is not a good way of writing code. The good way of writing code is to write it one time. So there is always a principle. What is that principle? When you write a good code, when you write a code that people will use, you always try to write it using dry principle. What is dry principle? Dry principle is basically, there is a principle. What is dry principle? Sorry. Yeah. So dry principle. What is dry principle? Do not do not repeat yourself. That means you don't repeat yourself. Once you have written this particular line, you try to minimize not writing this code again and again. Okay, you try to minimize writing this code again and again. So if you have written this code, try to put it into a method where you can just call this method name and pass three variables, and it will just print the values, like add the numbers or do some any other task. Got it? So this is how you write programs. You don't write a particular thing again and again. You just put it inside an inside a method, and you just call that method, and method will do it for every part of particular number. We'll study about it later. But basically, an object is something that has some behavior, and that has some instance variables in it, and some methods in it. That is basically an object. So let's just see what is an object. So there is a dog. So there can be a dog's name, that is string name, and the dog can bark, that is system.out.print. What is the name? So name, let's say we have given this dog a name that is uh, Rocky. So Rocky, whenever the people will like whenever the people will add bark to it, Rocky will bark. So Rocky says woof, woof. So whenever it will bark, it will be printing Rocky says. Okay. So the syntax is more important. Okay. So try to understand the syntax. We'll just make another file to write a Java class and object. Day 3. Class. Let's say we make the same class dog. So I've talked about this. This is instance variable. So let's just name it string name. Okay. So this is string name. Other than that, we will have methods. So how can we have methods? This is the class. Okay. This is we are defining this as a class. So how can we have methods? Public void bar. Okay. So this is the method declaration. So the method definition actually. So first we'll have the access specifier. Access specifier. Okay, this is the first thing that we'll have to give access specifier. Then we'll have to give return type. Return type. This is return type, right? So void means nothing. So it will return nothing. Void means nothing. Method name. Then after that, method name. Method name. Method name is bar. And then second bracket open, second bracket close. You can give optional parameters inside it. I will talk about this. Let's just first print the name. So it will be like uh, it will be like name plus says proof, right? And how to make object? Tell me. So dog. This is how, right? Audrich, am I right? Audrich, are you there? Did you understand this? Yeah. So we'll name the dog. Tell me a name, dog's name, Adrish. Let's just give Bulbuli. Okay, Bulbuli. Okay. So how you access instance variable is basically object's name. This is the object. Okay, dog one is object. So this is how you declare the object. Okay, so the class name, then object's name. So dog one is object's name and equals to new dog. So therefore, a dog one object will be created, and now you have to specify the dog's name. So how can you specify the dog's name? So the object name dog one dot name equals to some string, right? Because we have already specified the data type, that is the string. So you have to give the name bulbuli here, whatever you can give. So I have named that bulbuli because they one said it. So yeah, now we have to call bark, right? Let's just call bark. How can we call a method? We'll have to just pass this method name. So mark and open close. So basically to differentiate variables and methods, this first bracket is there. So first bracket, after this first bracket, you will the compiler will understand, okay, this is a method signature. Okay, so let's just try to compile it. Bulbuli says woof. Okay, we have just not uh, added space here. Just add space here and see. Bulbuli says woof. Okay, this is basic class and object, but we will be doing some very complex job with this particular thing in the next videos. Okay, Tatai can leave. We'll be there for 20 minutes more. Okay, yeah, you can leave. Okay, let's just end it here. We'll start next day. Okay, we'll start after I think uh, let's just take class on next Saturday. Okay. Okay. So in the same time, three, right? We'll just schedule the class on the same day, and up to here we have done the basic OOPS concept. We'll start talking about object and class from the next day, and basic inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation. We'll just cover this topic first because we have a lot of things. As you can see, exception handling is there. Java string is a full concept there. Okay, all right. I'll give some assignments. Try to do it. Okay. Okay. Bye bye, guys.